Robbie Williams Rewind.
Welcome to Robbie Williams Rewind. We are the champions. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lucy.
And along with help from special guest fans, we take you on an in-depth rewind through the solo career of multi-award-winning singer, songwriter and entertainer, Robbie Williams.
Today we're talking about Robbie's Let Me Entertain You tour of 2015, as well as a selection of songs that Robbie collaborated on between late 2014 and early 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And we're joined by our lovely friends, Kelly and Val.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, both of you.
Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Kelly is my friend that I go and see Ollie Murs with. So we have Ollie in common.
We do.
We've had lots of good times.
We certainly have, and you really looked after me last year when I couldn't really do my gigs properly because of the pandemic. So I'm very lucky to have you.
So we got Kelly and Val on together because they've got some great stories from the Let Me Entertain You tour, which we're definitely going to want to hear.
Yes.
But first of all, tell us how you both became a Robbie fan.
I initially like to take...
Okay. Just so that everyone knows.
Yep.
Yeah.
I initially liked to take that. Robbie was my favourite. I did switch a little bit between Gary and Mark a little bit, but Robbie was usually my favourite. And then when they split and he started doing sort of his early stuff, I wasn't really a massive fan then. And then it was around the Nebworth time, and I was desperate to go to Nebworth and didn't have anyone to go with. Didn't go, very much regretted it. And then the Intensive Care album came out, and from then on I was really hooked. So I've been going to the gigs like proper since Intensive Care, and going really seriously since the Progress tour. And that's not where I met you. I met you at Take the Crown, didn't I?
Yeah. At the Take the Crown stadium, wasn't it? We met at Wembley.
Did you see him before Take the Crown?
I saw Take the Crown when it was in the round at the O2 in the autumn time. So I wasn't really a Take That fan, controversially. I was more of a Boyzone fan. But I started liking Robbie when he did all his solo stuff. And I did go to Nebworth.
Oh,
I actually
so
think,
jealous.
I think I've pretty much gone to... I didn't go to Progress, but I think I've gone to most of his tours, actually. Sometimes, obviously, years ago, it was just a one-off group, whereas once it's for me, part of it's the social fun of queuing and meeting all you guys.
Seeing all our friends.
And catching up with everyone. I like the social side of it as well as seeing Robbie, so I quite enjoy the queuing. I'd been to Milton Keynes a couple of times, been to Nebworth, and then I went and saw Take the Crown in the round. And then when it opened at Wembley, that's when we were going 2 consecutive days, so decided, I'm stingy, so rather than paying for a hotel, I said, let's sleep out the night at Wembley. And that's when we discovered there were mad people that queued. And I had a crisp bag tent that was a bit of a sort of half put together sun sort of shelter thing.
Funny.
With, I think it was Fiona Wilkes lent me a sort of, a space blanket when you do the marathon or whatever to keep you warm, and that was sort of pinned on at the front.
So basically,
that rustled all night long.
It was a sunshade. It wasn't a tent.
It was like,
a sunshade.
It's like a half thing that you put on the beach.
So one side of it was open.
And then we had this silver thing on the front of it that rustled all night like a crisp tent. And after that, and everyone taking pity on me,
because their tent was in my ear all bloody night.
and I'm partial to the odd bag of crisps, so I think everyone got to know me that way. And then really from then it's just sort of gone on, and I've got to know people, and each year it's got wackier. And I think 2014, the Swing Tour, was a mad summer.
For us,
I always call it a crazy summer. And then from that, it led on
2015 was worse.
2015, when we thought we'd go on a sort of road trip over Europe, but then it ended up, that's what we're going to talk about, I think. Ended up a bit madder than that.
It really did end up a bit more than we thought it was going to
be. So we'll save that story for
Yes.
later on.
Yeah, let's come to that.
Have you got a favourite song or album?
I do like the swing stuff because I was sort of, my mum was a big Frank Sinatra fan, so I used to listen to all the swing stuff, Dean Martin, people like that. So I've always listened to the swing stuff. So I quite like those albums. Favourite song. I do like Rock DJ is one of my favourites.
Is it?
Yeah.
My favourite is Come Undone.
Yeah.
Which Lucy knows I've got tattooed on me. And that's actually because I kind of started to really like Robbie when I was going through a bit of a crappy time myself. I was having a hard time and I related to his music because of him, what he was singing about and the fact that he was going through that kind of thing too. So I just related to it.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And so Come Undone kind of became like a really, close to my heart song for that reason. Plus it's a great song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's an incredible song. And actually,
it really is.
We've asked a lot of the hardcore fans, and that Come Undone tends to come up more than any other. I mean,
does it?
I don't know exactly
Yeah, it
the
does,
numbers, but it does tend to be a lot of people's fave. Yeah.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
In the hardcore,
so it's obviously
fans,
the one that more people relate to, the ones that have become a bit fanatical.
Yeah.
I think like you say, though, I think it depends what's going on in your life at the time.
Yeah.
And because we all like him, if he sings a particular song and you relate it to an event, that's perhaps why we sort of get emotionally buy into it
absolutely.
more. Perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Great
it's like
song.
all music.
Yeah.
I think all music's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite video?
See, I do like the Rock DJ one as well.
I like Rock DJ. It is funny, isn't it? I like Phil as well.
Yeah, Phil's my favourite. Yeah.
He looks hot. Come on.
Yes, he does. Yes. I think there's a reason that's got the most views. It's got over 300 million.
Is it the highest
views.
viewed?
That's his highest viewed video. Phil.
Is it the highest viewed video?
Yeah.
There's definitely a reason for that.
Some people are watching it on repeat, that's why.
Lucy.
So, do you have a favourite memory or moment with Robbie that you'd like to talk about? Have you
I
met
ain't had any moments with Robbie apart from my Vegas one.
Or met him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
met
got
him.
your picture with him.
Oh no, it
Tell us
was
about
it was
Vegas.
meet and
Tell us
greet,
about
but I
that
was
then.
with a group. There was about 12 of us. So obviously Robbie did Vegas. We had the meet and greet package. So we let all the other fans sort of go ahead of us. And there was a guy, this little American guy. You were there at the same time, but I don't know if you were at the same show.
No, we weren't at the same show. No.
So there was this guy called Nicholas. He said he was from the Bronx, I think the Bronx or Brooklyn, and he was like, he reminded me of Barry Manilow or like one of Barry Manilow's mates. He was like, oh
Barry
my God,
Manilow.
I know I like Barry. There's nothing wrong with Barry. Oh my God, you girls, it's gonna be a great night with you here. And he was calling everyone over. Anyway, we got further. People kept coming and trying to be at the back of the queue, but we kept making them. Like one of us would go at the loo and we'd go, we've got to join our friend at the back. And so we ended up being the last group. And so we all, so he was like, oh my God, you lot. So he obviously recognised us from the barrier and whatever. It's going to be a good night. And then we all had our individual photos done. And then he said, come on then girls, come back, we'll do a group photo. And I had 6-inch heels on, but I'd been practising running in them. And I tell you what, Tracy Greenhouse was on the floor. I pushed her out the way to make sure in the group photo I was next to Robbie, and I was. The other one was Lisa Brooks, who didn't leave his side anyway. So when she had her individual photo done. So
get your elbows out, Val.
Yeah, if you see the group photo, you'll see me there next to him. So, and when he's got the one with his mouth open, I wasn't pinching his bum. Contrary to popular belief, I wasn't.
That's really funny.
I reckon he was a bit scared, actually. But...
The other moment I had was when he sang on the swing tour.
I remember. I know what you're going to say.
And everyone was getting little comments, and it was like, what did he say? It was that he was singing that what was it called?
It was a Fat Pop Star one, wasn't it? And he was up in the air.
And I shouted something out.
It was one of the lyrics, wasn't it?
And he just told me to shut up.
He went, you can shut up.
And that's the moment of fame. That's it.
She went, oh, yeah, because I think I'd had a little bit of attention and whatever. Yeah. And she went, oh, like, you get this and that. And what do I get? I get shut up.
Yeah, I can't claim to have any real moments, no.
I've had a couple, but really my favourite one, which you so kindly videoed so well, Lucy.
Well, it was Matt, actually,
on
I think.
YouTube.
Oh.
Was it Matt?
Yeah. It was Matt that I got to video that.
Such a good job of videoing that, and it's been viewed a lot, mainly by me.
So tell us what happened.
So basically, the group of us, we were all dressed the same, and we all had the same hats on and what have you, and we made a banner that was a page of paper each, and so we all held it up at the appropriate moment, so that right across the front row it said, can we have we're friends because of you. Can we have a group meet and greet? And we held it up, and he obviously saw it straight away because there were so many of us. And he said, "When's that going to happen?"
Now.
We're like, "Now." And he was like, "Nah, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen." And, when's it going to happen? We're like, "Now." And he went, "Oh, all right then."
And he came down.
And I had a little banner. He'd been writing signatures for tattoos, and I had a little banner saying, "Please, can I have a tattoo?" So he came over and he said, "Oh, you want?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I held up my hand, and he's about to write on it, and just as he's about to write, he stops and he goes, "Well, what have you got for me if I do this? Like, what are you going to give me?" And I'm thinking, oh my God, like I haven't brought anything. I haven't got chocolate or squashums or anything that he likes. What am I going to do? And the first thought that came into my head was I had a V-neck top on, and so I said boobs because I didn't know what else to say. And the next thing I know, he went, "All right then." And he signed my arm, and the next thing, his head's in my chest. And he's kissed my boobs. And I'm like, "Oh my God." And you can see my face all shocked. So, I've had a couple of little moments, but that's got to be the best one, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Robbie Williams kissing your boobs is definitely a good moment.
Robbie Williams has kissed my boobs.
See, another moment, it isn't really a moment, but when we went to the gig at the Roundhouse,
yes,
and I had a blanket with all pictures of Robbie and me and whatever and other people in it.
We'd bought for your birthday, didn't we?
And the next day there was an Apple video of him, and he was sort of saying that all the fans are camped outside. And Robbie went, "Oh, I think you're getting my fans confused with homeless people." And then it cuts to me with a blanket. So, I think Robbie thinks I'm either a sort of fat Weight Watchers friend or a homeless person, really. But there you go. And I don't think he actually recognised me when I was in Vegas because I had a posh dress and I'd done, I do brush up okay, really. That's when I've not been sleeping on the pavement for 3 days.
Yes.
Yes, I think everyone looked quite different in Vegas. That's true.
Yeah, very glamorous, all of you.
Yeah.
Oh, good stories. Good stories.
So, what does Robbie mean to you?
Oh, that's a hard
That's
question.
yeah. For me, he provides escapism from the real world. So he's
that's
like,
what I was going to say.
so
It's like your happy place.
yeah, it's your happy place. You get
Yeah.
to go and see him, and while you're at that gig,
You forget
about everything in the
Yeah.
life, all the normal crappy stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It has brought me so many friends. I've travelled a lot because of Robbie, and I've
Yeah,
made
we've been
a
to
lot.
places we never would have
Yeah,
gone.
and I've met friends that I probably
proper
wouldn't
friends.
have met. You know, like I'm going to use Petra as an example. Boyzone were on in Belgium. They'd finished all their tours over here. She was like, "Oh, they're doing a gig over in Belgium. Come and stay. We'll go to it." So I wouldn't have seen Boyzone in Belgium if it hadn't been for Petra, really. And that was through meeting her at Robbie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so things like
And
that.
I've been over and stayed with Petra, and we've been to see Bruno Mars. We went to a festival over there and saw Bruno Mars and years, and Jessie J, and yeah, so
You
do
chat
end up doing
to
other
people that
things,
you wouldn't
don't you?
necessarily. You know, I've got friends from all over Europe, all over the world, really, that I've met through queuing at Robbie gigs.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think, but what he means to me, I suppose. So I think for me, it's that it's almost like a fantasy world where you get away from real life. It's that fantasy,
Yeah.
and the fantasy isn't it, that you're the one he picks out of the crowd. Or
I don't want to go up there.
No,
Bloody
no,
hell.
but you know what I'm saying though. He's the,
Yeah.
it is, isn't it? Really.
We just have a really
Yeah.
good laugh. And actually,
Yeah.
you might have taken you 3 days to get to the barrier, but once you get that, like, I think anyone who's up with music or music means a lot to them, it's almost like it takes over you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You just, it's
Like, all
your
your-
place where you're happy and you forget
all
everything.
your aches and pains, you forget about them.
Yeah.
You get into the music, you're jumping
Yeah.
away. It
And-
might take you
Yeah.
a month to recover. It don't take me a month. Just get on
Does
to the
me.
next thing. But yeah, it sort of takes you to you forget all your pains and aches and
and all the rubbish stuff going
and all
on
the
at
moans
home
and everything.
all
Yeah,
of that,
you just
and, and
Yeah.
you're with your mates having a fantastic time, losing yourself in the music and the atmosphere. And
Yeah.
that's what he means to me, really.
Yeah. Just going into Robbie Land and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, exactly.
Same to you, same with you guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've met amazing people like you. I mean, and we've
I'm not
travelled,
that
like you
amazing.
say. But it wouldn't be as fun if it wasn't such a nice group of people. I mean, obviously,
Yeah. No, it
occasionally you
wouldn't.
get, occasionally there's a few disagreements, but
Yeah.
most of the time it's all right. And Stoke actually was a nice reminder of that. How much
Yeah,
of a community
Stoke was
we've all
great,
become
wasn't
over
it?
the
Stoke
years.
was a great atmosphere, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Great atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
It was.
actually, the people who are at the very front, like we are, those 30 or 40 people that are the ones that
Yeah.
are there all the time, they just want it to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's sometimes where the not so nice bit occasionally creeps in, is because it's the people, like, not necessarily all the people behind that, but there is an element of people who just want to be at the front at any cost but don't want to put the time in. And actually, we just want it to be fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
And we look after each other. That's the nice thing.
We do,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
My
especially if you go
goodness.
falling into someone's tent or something like that.
Yes, Valerie.
I didn't know that tripped over the guy rope.
Of course not.
It is a little bit dangerous, actually, in the queue sometimes. True.
Whose tent did you fall into?
Mark and Lynn Faulkner's tent. Luckily, they had a mattress in it. I just fell on that.
They weren't in it at the time, I'm
Sorry,
assuming.
sorry, Val. No, they weren't. It was still daytime. Poor
Brilliant.
Val.
I know.
We helped you up. I was there
did.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So if you
Oh,
could
it was
ask
funny.
If you could ask Robbie one question or say one thing to him, what would you say? You don't
Did
have
you
to
really
have
lose all
anything.
your weight on Weight Watchers?
Yeah, there's one.
That's a good question.
Because he didn't know how many points was in a bit of salmon when I was in Vegas. He
Did
was
you
going,
ask
oh, it's
him?
about 5 points. And I went, no, it's not. It's free. I think he actually said it was 2 points, and it's not. It's free. I mean, it's free food, Robbie. Free food.
But the problem is he's got a chef who probably follows it for
I
him,
know.
and he doesn't have to
Yeah,
think about it.
He don't have to think about it. Someone else is counting his points for
Yeah,
him,
I think
right?
that's
Yeah.
what I'd say. I'd say, actually, can I come and stay with you for 6 months as your chef? Cook me all the Weight Watchers food.
And then we'll look glamorous too.
And then I'll look glamorous with you, Robbie.
That's really funny. I think I said to you my question when I was in the
Yes.
queue at Stoke.
Oh, you did? Yes.
Yes.
Didn't I?
Yeah.
So what I said was I'd like to know how different the atmosphere is at the front at a gig, like say one of these corporate things that he's doing,
Oh, right, okay.
where the hardcore fans aren't there. And I'd like to know how different that is for him personally, because how much do
does he
hardcore fans
play off of the audience?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
That's
much
a good
does that
question.
energy,
Yeah.
does it change the way he performs? Does it feel different? Like, I'd really like to know what that's like.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Great
really
question.
good question.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about it once
Yes.
on a previous episode when he was, what was it? He was doing a gig to one bloke.
Oh yeah,
And,
he did. He did.
Who
Some
was smoking
person.
a cigarette or something. What was it?
One man paid him however much it was for a private gig, and when he turned up, it was just literally this bloke. And
That's a
His-
bit
One
that's a
person.
bit stalkerish, isn't it? I don't know if I'd
Didn't,
like
yeah.
didn't the
that.
bloke keep going outside for a cigarette or
no,
something?
the
What was it?
man stayed there, but I think the man had his parents with him or
That's right.
something, and
Oh.
and he kept the others kept
Was he with
leaving
the band?
leaving. I don't know. It was in one of his books.
Yeah.
I can't remember the
I
details.
mean, he might have made it up for all we know, but it was in one of the books.
Well, yeah, that's
it's
very
in one of the
true.
books.
Yeah.
He does like a good story.
When he tells it, it sounds good. Like we're cobbling
course
together
it does.
what we remember.
Of course
but
it
yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, that
But
would
yeah,
be my
well-
question.
Mm.
Okay.
Good. Right, so should we talk about the songs then in this episode?
You can do if you want to.
Do you want to explain to us how these songs
Yeah.
have been selected for
Well,
this
basic-
episode, Lucy?
Yeah, it's a bit of
Might
a
be worth saying
random
that.
selection. Basically, I was looking at the upcoming albums that we've got to cover, and all the albums are quite long now because there's no B-side episodes. There's just an album with, a deluxe version, and it's got quite about 14, 15,
Yeah.
16 songs, and that's enough in an episode without
Yes.
adding on a couple of sort of other songs that he's done around the
Random
same
ones,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I'll just get all these random ones together and put them into one episode.
Because we're
And then-
random, aren't we? We're quite
I knew that was
random.
coming.
We're not the only ones who've done it.
Mm.
They've
We
made
knew
other
that you
people
could.
do it too.
We knew you could
Yeah.
handle the improv that this
Random.
requires.
No, Jocelyn is kindly doing another random episode for us as well. So you're not alone.
Just thought it was worth for listeners knowing that because it's quite an eclectic mix of songs.
Yeah.
Eclectic is
Yeah.
definitely the right word.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it means that the upcoming episodes are like, heavy entertainment show purely, or under the
Yeah.
radar 2 purely, that kind of thing, without having these other songs.
Bits
Jammed
hanging
in.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also the Let Me Entertain You tour is worthy of its own episode anyway, I think.
Our trip
course.
definitely
It was so
is.
good. Yes, your trip is.
Yes, we're looking forward to hearing about that.
So the first song we're going to talk about is by Kai L. It's called Carry On, Shitty Little City.
Yes. So yeah, Kai L is a Californian yoga teacher, musician and actress, also known as Kyle Lardner. The song features Rob on some of the vocals, and was initially released on her SoundCloud and YouTube accounts in around 2012, but was officially released on streaming services on the 17th of February 2015. And it's now disappeared off streaming services. You can't find it on iTunes, Spotify, and there's only a handful of her songs that remain. It is available, however, on her YouTube channel, which is under Kyle Lardner, I think.
Yeah. So it's presumably written by Kyle, but we couldn't find that information anywhere. It seems to have been self-released as it came out on Lardner Music and Pictures record label. And the only link we can find between Rob and Kyle is that she appeared in a photo of Rob on Christmas Day 2014 alongside Ida and Rob's Irish comedian friend Mark Hayes, who lives in LA as well. So we're guessing that she's a friend
Family
from
friend, I think.
LA, and he's appeared on her song as a favour. Something like that.
I definitely think you're right, Lucy, listening to it.
Yes.
I definitely think you're right.
He doesn't often do backing vocals.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's,
He doesn't often do that.
Not that great a tune, really, which is probably why it's disappeared. But,
yeah, it's not my cup of
tea.
tea.
No, I think I can imagine I can imagine people in sort of Venice Beach, a bit spaced out, listening to it, doing their yoga. But apart from that, no, I don't think. I can see Ida and her mates down Venice Beach
in their new workout gear.
Yes.
But, yeah, I don't think any diehard fans are going to go running out to buy it.
No. It's interesting to hear him not be the lead. I mean,
it is, and it's still, his voice is so distinct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds
is,
good.
I wonder why he did it though. Really,
For a favour.
because it's not his usual style at all, is it?
No,
No.
definitely not.
I think it's quite catchy. I know that we were talking about it before we started recording, and it does sort of just seem to loop round and round and round. But if you,
It does.
obviously, we listen to these songs quite a bit before we do these recordings. I've listened to it loads, and I find it just going round and round in my head.
Oh, really? It's an
city.
earworm.
Yeah, it does. It gets in your head like a merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but do you know what?
Lyrics...
I'm going to go off piste now. Right.
Go on then.
Think about, you say like a merry-go-round, think of the Magic Roundabout, think of Venice Beach and the sort of things that go on there. I think we might have hit on something there.
Yeah. There's a reason why it's repetitive. Yeah. It's interesting that the lyrics say, and I think, as Lucy said, we couldn't find out who exactly wrote it. I think she probably did. But the lyrics say, and it's such a pity in this gritty little city. Is it shitty? I don't know, gritty.
I don't know.
All the souls that come undone.
Yeah.
Wow, there you go.
Ooh,
I
so
found
we've
that
got a little
lyric in there. Did you
reference
see that
there.
one? So I don't know whether
interesting.
that's meaningful or not, but I guess it's and I guess it's partly a play on the British saying for our non-native or foreign listeners, keep calm and carry on.
Yeah.
The album
Yes.
cover even looks like one of those
It really
posters,
does.
that were around in the Second World War, saying that.
Really
So,
does. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Trying to appeal to the English fans, clearly.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think their harmonisation works really
Yeah,
well.
I think they do
Um,
sound
yeah,
quite
yeah,
nice
yeah.
together.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
That's, yeah.
He complements her voice
Just
quite
don't
well.
I mean,
mind to her.
Yes.
Musically, the song's not I'm not a musician, but it's not massively special. Do you know what I mean? There's not
No.
really. It's definitely not
Totally agree
a
with
guide
you.
production. It's mainly
No.
just pianos, beats, and vocals. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
what do you think, Liz?
Well, I wrote down it was a pretty little ditty about a shitty little city.
Nice one,
Very good.
Lucy.
Very
Right
good.
songs.
Nail on the head.
Good.
Pretty little ditty. I like that.
So I only found it in 2019 when I was looking at a Wikipedia list of songs by
Yeah.
Robbie and discovered it. And I was like, what is that? And I found it. And I was able to get it on iTunes at that point.
Yeah.
I like one of the lines, I abuse my shoes, I've got nothing left to say, I've worn the souls away. I quite like that line because she's talking about
Nice lyric.
souls
Yeah.
and shoes, but then in the song she's talking about people's souls. So yeah, it's quite nice.
That
quite
is
nice.
the sort of thing that Robbie would write, actually.
Yeah. It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
I wonder if they collaborated
They
on
might
it
well
then.
have done, because it
Yeah,
is the kind of
possibly,
thing that he
yeah.
would come up with. You don't know,
Do you know, they could have just been at his house one day and they could have sat in the garden, wrote it down, and then, let's just go in the studio and record it. You know, it could have just happened. Maybe we'll have to ask him one day.
Yeah, maybe.
That
You
might
never
be
know.
our question. That might be my question. A bit more interesting than Weight Watchers.
I liked the Weight Watchers question.
So yeah, I it's quite a nice song, and I'm more fascinated to know how it came about than anything else.
I agree with you, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you
wanna
haven't
know
heard
the
it, go and check
story?
it out. Yes.
Yep. We'll
Check
put
it
a
out
link
on
to it on the
YouTube.
website so that people can find it. But yeah, YouTube, you can find it on there.
We'll add it to our playlist on YouTube of the rare
Songs.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So let's go on to the next song then, which is Avicii, The Days. So written by Brandon Flowers from The Killers, Salem Al Fakir, Vincent Ponter and Avicii. Avicii, real name Tim Bergling, was a Swedish DJ and producer. He was nominated for Grammys in 2012 and 2013 for music with David Guetta. He retired from touring in 2016 due to stress and sadly committed suicide in April 2018. His third album was released posthumously. Al Fakir and Vincent Ponter are also Swedish musicians, singers, songwriters and producers who regularly write together and have worked with Madonna and Lady Gaga.
The Days was originally meant to be a collaboration between Brandon Flowers and Avicii, with Brandon providing vocals. But Brandon wasn't happy with the recording, so Avicii brought Robbie on board instead. And you can find a version of Brandon singing it on YouTube, though. It even has a sample of Mark Morrison's Return of the Mac in it. It was billed as the lead single from Avicii's second album, Stories, but ended up only appearing on the Russian and Japanese versions.
Released worldwide on the 3rd of October 2014, the planned release in the UK on the 23rd of November was cancelled for unknown reasons. The Days was released alongside The Nights as part of The Days, The Nights EP. The Days lyric video has over 204 million hits on YouTube, making it Avicii's 11th most watched video on his channel. Although Avicii's The Nights video from the same EP has 879 million and his Wake Me Up video has 2.1 billion hits.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so he's really, really, really globally popular, isn't he?
Well, and I mean, I think everyone knows Wake Me Up, don't they?
Yeah.
I certainly do. Do you?
Don't know. You know me.
I know that one. It's a nice tune. I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Apparently
wouldn't say it's like
sorry.
Avicii's strongest,
No.
No.
but it's all right.
Well, apparently it reached number 1 in the Czech Republic, Hungary and Sweden, number 2 in Australia dance chart, Belgium, Norway, Israel and Slovakia also number 2. And it was certified 2 times platinum in Australia, platinum in Denmark, Italy, Sweden, gold in Germany and Spain. And it reached 78 on the US Billboard chart, which gave Robbie his first, albeit uncredited, hit there since Angels in 1999. Despite not having an official release in the UK, it still made number 82. So
Yeah, it must
did
have just
pretty
been on.
well.
Don't know how it reached 82.
So it was obviously a lot pushed or plugged a lot more in Europe and Australia
Yeah.
than it was here.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
really properly released here. Don't know why.
Is Avicii bigger in Europe than he was here? Possibly.
I think
Is that
possibly,
why?
yes. Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
also popular in America, isn't he? So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's strange, isn't it?
So Avicii said, I went back to writing with the authors of my first album, Salem and Vincent, and in addition, Brandon Flowers of The Killers joined us. I was looking for a different voice, and I thought about Robbie. I've been a huge fan of him for a long time. My manager soon got in touch with his entourage, and in a short time, we received the version sung by him, and it was just perfect for this song.
I can see why that's more Americans and German
Yeah.
market would like
Yeah,
it.
it's a bit more electronic, which is what Avicii is about anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so,
I can
so
imagine
you like it?
listening. I like it, yeah. I can definitely imagine it's an earworm once you've listened to it a few times.
Yeah.
Because it is catchy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
But I do think it really suits his voice. It sounds
definitely.
great. But equally, I think I can imagine Brandon Flowers doing it as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it's quite different.
Hasn't Robbie
Brandon's
collaborated with Brandon Flowers as well? He has, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
on
so.
Heavy Entertainment Show album.
Yeah. I can imagine it. I can imagine it sort of a bit
sitting around.
crazy.
I can imagine it sort of. You're right. Sort of sitting around a pool. Yeah.
Yes.
Sort of in the summer on your
Summer
Mediterranean summer holiday type. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can see why it's been popular in Europe.
Because it's classed as a dance track, but it's not too dancey. It's kind of quite chilled, really, when you listen to it. So
it's more of a chill out tune.
Having your drink by,
watching sunset.
Or something.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
It's
the
good
electronic sounds on it. And I don't normally, not normally into
Do
like
you not?
electronic. Not so much. But yeah, I really
I like some of it, but
I'm a bit
not
older
really
than
your
you
thing.
lot. No, I quite like the electronic.
Oh, do you? Depeche Mode fan.
Yeah.
I was playing it in the kitchen and our son came in and was like, "What's this?" He could hear Robbie was singing it, but he knew it wasn't normal Robbie. And he said, "Oh, it sounds like something that I would listen to." Totally like.
Oh,
threw him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Whole new group of Robbie fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he listens
actually-
to sort of electronic stuff, doesn't he? And sort of
Does
stuff
he?
of games and things. He
Yeah.
doesn't often listen to music with vocals in it, which is weird.
Yeah. And actually, clearly, like we know from listening to Robbie and some of his lives and what have you, he clearly does have a bit of a penchant for electronic music, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
And the bit at the end, the instrumental bit at the end is phenomenal, isn't it? Where it just goes.
It goes on for quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
at
seems
the end?
about a minute. It feels like of just the instrumental dance bit. It's really cool. I like it.
As for you to do a bit of extra dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A bit more dad dancing towards the end.
Absolutely.
And dare I say it in front of Take That fans, but I think it has a Take That vibe to it, a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's a little bit Sigma-esque.
I was just about to say, before you said that, it's a bit Sigma-esque.
Yes.
And I really like Sigma.
So do I.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it quite in the same category, but sort of
Not
similar.
quite, but it is, I know exactly what you're saying.
And I love there's like a twanging guitar at the beginning, and Rob's vocal just really suits. It's very hard to describe what Rob's vocal does on the track, but I can't imagine it being the same. I didn't listen to the Brandon Flowers one.
It's not the same, no.
His voice hasn't quite the same depth,
No,
is
it hasn't, no. I much prefer it with Robbie.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I didn't know there was actually a Brandon Flowers vocal out there. I will go home and listen to that because I'll be interested to hear what that sounds like.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know where it
Rob's
came from.
vocal sounds great on it.
Yeah.
It does.
It really suits the song, doesn't it?
I think there's a real feel-good vibe to the song. I mean, the more I've listened to it, the more I'm like, it's just really uplifting and happy song.
Yeah.
I love the line about the last of the Lost Boys have thrown in the towel. Just like that.
I like that. I like heartbreak all over town, but something flipped like a switch when you came around, and I'm in pieces.
That's nice.
Pick me up and put me together.
Yeah.
That's a nice lyric.
Positive song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You can tell Rob had a hand in it, can't you?
Yeah.
Classic Rob storytelling.
It is, isn't it?
When he said he was going to be doing EDM, Robbie, this is the sort of thing I expected.
Yes.
Right.
Lufthouse is a bit more
bit too
chilled.
hardcore. Oh.
No, it's a bit more sort of chilled,
more
isn't
chilled,
it?
okay.
I think a bit more.
I like the Lufthouse stuff.
Yeah, I do.
I loved it at Stoke.
Yeah.
I would have loved it if it wasn't quite so cold, but yeah. I was trying
God,
to
it was
dance, but
freezing.
still freezing, which is a feeling I've not really had for a long time. It was very weird.
Oh my God. I don't know if I've ever been to a colder gig in the summer.
Yeah.
Oh
it's
my
terrible.
God, it was freezing.
The thing is, we were fried for like 3 days before it.
I
and then
know.
it just
And then
suddenly
it was
went
just like-
freezing.
How did that happen?
Everyone's
Everyone's got sunstroke.
T-shirts in the middle of the night. And that
We
Yeah.
had a poor girl collapse outside before we went in from sunstroke.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was freezing.
And then it was
just so
freezing.
cold.
And it was almost like you went into the stadium and it was cold.
Yeah.
And the
Air
wind was
And the sun got
whipping
turned
across,
off.
wasn't it?
But Kelly, on the Stoke episode, you probably heard, we did actually say to Tim and Flynn, just in case they're listening, that we were all trying to go for it, but it was bloody freezing. So even the people at the front weren't quite going for it as they probably could have been. But
No, we
I
did a little
did
bit to try
enjoy
and get
it.
warm.
Well,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it definitely wasn't our usual effort.
No.
No.
So should we move on to the next one then?
Yeah, next
Yeah.
song, yeah.
This is the Beat Bugs, Good Day Sunshine.
Hmm.
Oh, I love this.
So Robbie sung this Beatles song, Good Day Sunshine, for the children's Netflix TV series, The Beat Bugs. The soundtrack of the cartoon features Beatles songs interpreted by various contemporary singers. Robbie appears in episode 4 of the first series, singing as Mr. Sun. The music for the series was arranged and produced by Daniel Johns, former singer of the band Silverchair. Good Day Sunshine was written by Paul McCartney and John Lennon, but mainly by McCartney, and featured on 1966's Revolver album.
The TV series began in August 2016 and was created by Josh Wakely, for which he acquired worldwide rights from Sony AV Music Publishing to a catalogue of Beatles music. The songs are interwoven into the narrative. The show has won awards at the Daytime Emmys, the Australian Actor Awards, and the Australian Augie Awards. I don't know if that's how you say them, but it looks as though you say them like that.
AWGIE, yeah.
rather than saying all the letters. It also includes artists like Pink, Sia, James Corden, Eddie Vedder, Rod Stewart, Chris Cornell, and Jennifer Hudson. Josh Wakely was also closely involved in the production, arranging, and mixing of the music. By the time the show premiered, Josh had already spent 6 years working on it.
Goodness me.
Yeah, so it's obviously a labour of love.
6 years, crikey.
Yeah.
Popular TV show, by the sense of it.
So Kelly, you say you love this one. Tell us why you
I
love
really
it.
like this tune, but I grew up on the Beatles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Very much grew up on the Beatles. And it was... So my mum was one of the Beatles super fans who
Ah.
was on... if you ever see the video of them arriving at the airport, my mum
Yeah.
bunked off school and she was one of the people at the airport, and she used to hang out outside their houses, and she's got all their autographs and had met them all. And so it was her who encouraged me when I was a teenager.
Right.
That's what I grew up on. So I love the song anyway. I love it even more that it's got Robbie's lyrics on it. But if you know, I'm not going to say I'm like the world's, you know, I know everything about the Beatles. I don't. Knowing a little bit about the Beatles, not loads, but a little bit, I think you can tell that song was written by Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Definitely. Because he was definitely the more twee one, and
Right.
John
Yeah.
had more of the
grit.
edge.
The grit. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's very much like Robbie and Gary, except that they didn't write together really, did they?
No, yeah,
Mhm.
true. Interesting
Isn't
way
it?
of looking at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. It's a bit of a weird one for me. You can tell it's been produced for a kids' TV show. It sort of
Yeah,
has that cheesiness about it, doesn't
it
it?
does.
Yeah. Slightly overproduced.
You're not a fan, Matt.
Well, the song is so good, to your point, the Beatles, you know,
It's a
and
great
Rob is
song,
very
yeah.
good in it. So it's not that,
Yeah,
it's just
he's
slightly
great at it.
overproduced. It's
Yeah.
just a bit too
Yeah.
clean and a bit too
Yeah.
produced. And
But
it's for a kids
actually-
TV show, so it
I was
works
going
for
to
that
say, have you
context.
watched the video?
that goes with
that
it.
goes with
what,
it.
the beat bugs? Yeah, I have
Yes.
watched.
I
yeah,
haven't
yes,
actually.
Yeah,
See,
Does it work?
it really works, doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah.
It works for the TV show. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really
totally.
works. Yeah, it really does.
I think obviously Rob sings it amazingly well, but I miss the harmonies from the Beatles. I just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I get to that
Yeah.
bit and they're not there, and it's like, oh, where's the harmonies gone?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's very short. Obviously, the Beatles songs were quite short.
Is. They were.
But it's 1 minute 57. This one, and the Beatles one was
That's
actually
nothing.
2 minutes 9. Yeah, all their songs were quite short, weren't they?
They were,
They didn't
that's
really do
right.
like 3 or 4 minute songs.
No. It was for the radio to switch between songs quicker, wasn't it, in those days?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. And I
And
think
Revolver's an incredible album as well. I mean,
it is a good album,
Just-
absolutely.
yeah.
But singles, I think the maximum was 3 minutes for a single then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just prefer the Beatles version. I mean, obviously, I love Rob's voice on it, but
Yeah.
you can't beat the original on this one.
No, they are good.
I'd love to hear him sing it just with his proper band on stage.
Yeah, it'd be
With
completely different.
with the electric guitars and just the a bit more rawness. I think
Yeah.
he'd be brilliant at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with this version. It's just
But
very
that's what
produced.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is it's twee. It's very Paul McCartney. It's twee.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Robbie usually brings the edge to things, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Val, unless you want to say anything about that.
No,
song.
you're all right.
Sorry, Val. I forgot about
That's
you.
all right.
So let's move on to Artists for Grenfell, Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Yep.
Following the catastrophic fire at the Grenfell Tower in West London on the 14th of June 2017, in which 72 people died and 70 others were injured, artists from across the music industry united to record a version of the Simon & Garfunkel classic Bridge Over Troubled Water. It was recorded at Psalm Studios, half a mile from Grenfell. All proceeds went to the London Community Foundation. About 50 artists were brought together by Simon Cowell, who chose the song, and it was recorded in 3 days. It included Brian May, Craig David, Dua Lipa, Jerry Halliwell, James Blunt, Jessie J, Jessie Ware, Leona Lewis, Louis Tomlinson, Matt Goss, Nile Rodgers, Rita Ora, Stormzy, and loads more. New raps were added, including a 16-line intro by Stormzy, which directly referenced the tragedy. A 300-strong choir made up of local people was led by Gareth Malone.
Written by Paul Simon and originally released by Simon & Garfunkel in 1970, it originally won 5 Grammy Awards and topped the Billboard charts for 6 weeks, as well as being number 1 in the UK, Canada, France and New Zealand. The charity version came out on the 21st of June 2017, a week after the tragedy. It received the biggest opening day figures for a single so far that decade, shifting 120,000 copies across downloads and streaming equivalent sales, and hit number 1. It received the Power of Music Award at the 2017 MTV EMAs.
The song opens with Stormzy's rap, and then Robbie sings the opening sung line of When You're Weary. He later sings Like a Bridge Over Troubled Water. Ida said on Loose Women at the time, it was really important for Rob to be involved. He came in and he recorded it on Monday, despite being in the middle of his heavy entertainment show tour. Ida's fellow Loose Women panellist Ruth Langsford then revealed that Ida knew a resident of the tower who was receiving treatment following the blaze.
So yeah, I think because they lived quite near there, I don't know, maybe someone who worked for
I
them
think they do,
maybe
yeah.
lived there. Yeah, they had their London house near there, so...
Yeah,
I mean,
that's sort of-
just before we get going, for any listeners that don't know what we're referring to, I mean, this was just an awful, awful fire. I think we were talking about it just a moment ago. I think it broke out in the middle of the night or early hours of the morning, and we all woke up to this horrific news that this block of flats in West London was on fire. just could not be put out, and people were trapped, and yeah, it was not nice.
Horrific,
No.
horrific. And also the really horrible thing about it was the fire safety procedures for blocks of flats is for the residents to stay in their flats and close all the doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the residents.
So instead of being able
yeah.
to get out, they'd actually followed the procedure, which would trap them in there.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
as initially they probably might have been able to get out, but
Yeah.
because they did what they were told,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
ended
They
up.
then
Yeah.
couldn't.
That's
It was
the
quite
tragedy,
horrific.
isn't it?
But as we were saying, Rob was in the middle of the heavy entertainment tour, wasn't he?
I think he'd
and
done
I remember-
Cardiff the night before.
No,
The
it
night
was
of.
Coventry. It was the Rico
Oh, was it
Stadium.
Coventry? Okay.
Yeah, I remember it really vividly because travelling back, I think for some reason I was on the train and I remember going into London and it was like on the news and everything. And yeah, it was really bad. But I was saying interestingly a short while ago that his lines, when you're weary, but I felt I hadn't been to the dress rehearsal that a lot of you had gone to for that concert
In Manchester,
in Manchester. So for me, the first time I'd seen him, and he had all his back trouble at the time, and I sort of feel that line is quite poignant because I felt Rob was quite weary when I saw him at Coventry.
Yeah.
I mean, he put on a good show, but he was sitting on the chair, and you could tell it wasn't the usual Rob. But I feel like he's now got that back again. So, but it's interesting. It's funny because that song brings it all back, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it does.
And it's a lovely tribute. And to do it so quickly, I mean, I was flabbergasted at the fact that they put it together in 3 days and had it released a week later.
Yeah.
It just shows you what the powers that be can do if they
Yeah.
want to
Their
do it.
And
minds
they-
to it, yeah.
You know, obviously Simon Cowell coordinated it all, but didn't have any problems pulling together over 50 artists. And I mean, that's people were just falling over themselves to help, which is
Yeah.
a lovely thing.
Of course, he would choose that song. It's very X Factor, that song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
Or Pop Idol, even.
Yeah.
They all used to sing that all the time, didn't they?
Get a good
Yeah,
key
they
change
did,
into it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the studio that was recorded at it was at Psalm, was it? Yeah.
Psalm.
Yeah.
So, if I remember rightly, I think both the old Band-Aids were recorded at Psalm as well.
Oh, yeah, they were. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, interestingly, that's Trevor Horn's studio.
Yes.
Ah, of course.
Who we'll be talking about again in a minute.
Who we'll be talking about again in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I only know all that because when I was younger, I worked for Virgin Music and it was round the corner from Psalm West on Portobello Road.
Ah.
And you used to hang
Cool.
out there
Not much.
when you were much
I've
younger.
been a couple of times. I've been a couple of times for, those two people that I used to follow when I was younger.
Every night after work, I think that translates as, right?
Who we won't name. No, they'd already gone by then, Matt. You're
Oh,
fine.
I see,
But
right.
I did meet the Pet Shop Boys out there
Oh,
when
cool.
outside there when I worked there. Yeah, I did. But that's the only people. But yeah, so I don't know whether it must be like a really big studio and so they can fit a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it seems to be used for those
Collaboration,
purposes, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my memory of this whole era was when we went to see Robbie in Belgium
Yeah.
at Werchter
Oh,
with
yeah.
Petra. And then when we flew back in on the Sunday, it was a really clear day and we flew across London into London and out of the
Did
window
you
of the
see
plane. I could see clear as day the tower, just, it was awful.
Yeah.
It just stood out on the skyline because it's just this black
Yeah.
burnt building and it was
Oh my
big.
goodness.
Yeah, horrible. It's all
That
covered up
really,
now, isn't it?
Yeah, that really gives you a different perspective flying over something, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. But on a lighter note, I could also see Hyde Park and it was full
Yeah.
of people for a concert that was happening.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and that was nice.
Yeah.
I could see the lights flashing on the stage and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, it was Tom Petty. I looked it up.
That's
he was
pretty
playing.
cool.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Life carries on.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good song. They did a really good job of it, I think.
Absolutely.
Lucy's got a load more notes to
Well,
say
no.
that she's missed. Do you want to say them?
No, the one thing that did annoy me a little bit is that Stormzy's rap sort of goes on top of Robbie's one line.
Yeah.
It does a little bit. I had to re-listen to it to see what you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, Stormzy's still rapping
His note is still continuing.
when Robbie starts.
Yes.
Yeah. And James, as you said, Kelly, before to me, you can really hear James Arthur in it, but I don't
Really
like James
can,
Arthur.
can't you?
And
Yeah,
so I'm always like,
obviously.
oh, James Arthur.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
James.
thought Paloma Faith was really distinctive on it too.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah, and I also like. I had to look this up. I wouldn't have known, but I looked up the order of who was singing what. And Robbie is first, and James Blunt is second. So that's quite nice because they share Carl Brazil.
They
as their
do.
drummer.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I wouldn't have recognised James's voice without having
I have to
written
say
that was him.
I did.
Oh, you did?
When
Well done.
Yes, I did. Yeah, which was one of the ones that I thought. Oh, I'm sure that's James Blunt. So you just confirmed I was right. Yeah.
The thing is, there's so many artists on it
Yeah.
that literally some of them are only singing like, a line or part of a line.
It's it's like part of a line, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not
I
even
suppose
a
it's
line.
good that they all wanted to offer their support.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, it's bigger fan base to buy it, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And did you mention the fact that the Manchester bomb was only 3 weeks after that?
Yeah, no, yeah, it was only 3 weeks after the Manchester Arena bomb attack
Yeah,
as well.
because the dress rehearsal was quite poignant, wasn't it? Because you were in Manchester.
Well, it was the first gig
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
Manchester
so I think
when we
after
all
it
went-
happened.
Yeah.
Went to gigs
It was.
at that time. It was all a bit weird, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
It was.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Manchester bomb was 3 weeks before this, yeah. I think I
Yeah.
said 3 weeks after, before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it must have been before
Yeah,
because
it
we
was,
wouldn't have
'cause
been at
you
Rico
were-
otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was eerie being in Manchester that week,
Yeah, it was.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
We all went to
it
see
was-
all the flowers and
Yeah.
we did, yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
the police presence was so massive.
Yeah. It was.
That day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a lot, like 2 really massive tragedies in the space of
Mm.
3
A few
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
I mean,
that's
me and Matt
awful,
were
isn't it?
actually we were at the concert before in Manchester. You know, we went to see Take That. It was my 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And we were at
It was
the Take
night
That
before,
on
wasn't
the
it? Or the
Saturday.
week before?
It was 2 nights
Yeah.
before. It was
2
the
nights.
Yeah.
concert before. There wasn't one on the
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
2 nights before.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Because did
Yeah.
you read all the stuff, Lucy? I don't know if you're a member of the group that I'm on or not, but a few of the girls who were camping had seen some
Yes,
suspicious
I saw
people.
And I think
had
someone
gone to the
actually
police
did.
to report them, and it was
They
them.
did. They did
Well, they
report
reported
it.
it while they were queuing for
They
Take That.
reported it while they
Yeah.
no after the
After
event.
the event, they then
They were like,
realised.
we saw some really suspicious people, and it was them.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
the
that was
bombers
what
checking
freaked
it out.
me out. Yeah, because we had
Oh,
queued
it
there
was-
all day, and
Yeah, we
And
were,
it was-
we were there, weren't we? Yeah.
It was so close to home because it's another fandom, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And we were
Really
supposed
is
to be going
horrible.
back to Manchester with the kids and my mum to see Take That again.
remember
but obviously
that.
that didn't happen.
And obviously it didn't happen,
Yeah.
did it?
And then we
Horrible.
bought tickets for Birmingham or something. And then Robbie announced his dress rehearsal. and then we had to sell those tickets.
And go
and
back
then we had to
again.
and then we had to get tickets for Manchester. Oh, I don't know. It was all very complicated.
We were never going to miss that.
No, we were never going to miss that
Absolutely
dress
not.
rehearsal.
I don't know why I didn't go. Probably work and no annual leave.
And of course,
Probably.
yeah.
You probably had it all planned out already, Val, for the
Maybe you're on
upcoming
holiday,
It's on
Val.
dialysis.
I don't know why I didn't go. I didn't.
So, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
Next, we've got Bob Sinclar, Electrico Romantico, which was written by Rob, Bob, and Janie. It was released on the 18th of January 2019. Bob is a French record producer, DJ, and remixer, synonymous with house hits. He's been famous in France and Europe since 1998, having worked with Jamiroquai, Moby, James Brown, Madonna, and Rihanna. Janie is a young Belgian producer and musician who Bob has taken under his wing and signed to his label, Yellow Productions.
The song came out after Bob ran into Rob at a gala in LA organised by the French school both their children attended. Rob suggested they get together and sing. There's a YouTube video of Rob and Bob in the studio recording it together. It reached number 65 in France, but apparently racked up 500 million streams globally on Spotify quite quickly.
There's also a remixed version called Romantico Starlight by Bob Sinclar, the Supermen Lovers, and Robbie, which came out a few months later. So yeah, what do we think of Electrico Romantico?
Absolutely love it.
We like it.
Yeah.
Quite a strong electronic beat there, very dancey. It reminds me a bit of a group that was around a lot. It was started in the 70s, but around in the 80s and 90s, called Sparks. It's just got a bit, reminds me a bit of their sort of music. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I really like it. I really like the song. I do like a bit of sort of dance, housey type music.
Yeah.
And I said to you, didn't I? Our friend Petra introduced me to a bit of Bob Sinclar during the lockdowns. He was doing some lives on Facebook, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I really like this track. I think it's great, very catchy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to a few of those as well. He was great. Just his energy. He's just such a happy, sort of eccentric guy. Is. Just fun. They were nice to listen to in lockdown.
They were. They were really uplifting. And he's quite eccentric, isn't he? So he's fun to watch, definitely.
Yeah. You can see why him and Rob got on well together, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I bet they have a lot of fun, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I reckon Rob was beginning to experiment with his dance and EDM side a little bit here.
Yeah, probably.
You know, albeit a bit quite, it's sort of a lighter feel, but in this song, but yeah. And he does a really good falsetto in this song. The I don't want to leave without you anyway. I won't try doing it, but it's high, isn't it?
It is high, yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah, I just really like all the little sounds in the background.
That's what I was going to say, Lucy, is I like all the little quirky little sounds that are along, kind of grimy little sounds that are along with it. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. And I don't know if it's got like strings in it, or if they're real strings, or if it's, done electronically.
Sort of strings. There is some strings.
It just sounds really good.
It does. Love it.
I think I remember Robbie saying something about it being about internet dating and, get out, get off your phone.
Saying, swipe left, swipe right, can't you?
Yeah.
And, be real in the moment in real life and not just looking at your phone and trying to date through your phone. Yeah. And also, interestingly, released on Armada Music, which is where Lufthouse released their music.
Aha.
Is it? That's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, this one really gets in my head. And I love the ending where it just ends, nobody does it better than me. And it just...
Me. That's it.
And his voice sounds great on that last bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. I just love it. It's a great song.
It is a great song.
I think at the time it was just nice to hear something, we're biased fans, of course, but it was nice to hear something different. You know, just like,
yeah,
it's a bit dancey, That sounds good. Rob sounds good on that.
Yeah.
I think it made quite an impression to a lot of people at the time. And obviously
definitely.
He's playing with it again now, which is good.
I definitely played it on repeat for a while when it first came out.
Yeah.
Did
when I was cleaning the bathroom, I just put it on repeat.
Clean your teeth to this. It takes...
Yeah.
And in the car, brainwashing the kids. Yeah.
No, not so much in the car.
Oh dear.
So should we go on to the next one?
Yeah.
which is Trevor Horn featuring the Psalm Orchestra and Robbie Williams, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. So Rob recorded vocals for Everybody Wants to Rule the World on the album Trevor Horn Reimagines the 80s, an album designed to bring some orchestral sparkle to some classic 80s songs. Also featured were Seal, All Saints, Tony Hadley, Matt Cardle, Jim Kerr and more. Trevor said, "The best thing about making this album was all the fun and laughter that came from hanging out with musicians and artists that I haven't seen for years."
Rob's cover was the lead single for the album, released on the 23rd of October 2018 and received good airplay on BBC Radio 2. The album came out on the 25th of January 2019 and hit number 11 in the UK.
Everybody Wants to Rule the World was written by Chris Hughes, Ian Stanley and Roland Orzabal of Tears for Fears in 1985. The original reached number 1 in New Zealand, Canada and the US and was number 2 in the UK, Australia, Netherlands and Ireland.
Trevor told Music Radar, "One of the things I've really started to enjoy is playing live, but you need a 9-piece band to play live pop music effectively. So I guess part of the motivation was to get my name out there and sell more tickets for live shows. The album wasn't my idea, but when it was suggested to me, I thought, how often do you get the chance to work with a huge orchestra on a bunch of really good songs with whoever I can coerce into singing? It took a year in the end, but when the songs are that good, there's always a few different ways of doing them." So what do we think?
Yeah, I like it, but it doesn't compare to the original for me, because the original's got all that kind of electric guitar kind of riff.
Yes, it
stuff in
has,
which just-
especially the intro, hasn't it?
Yes, the intro is completely different, and I feel like that's missing on this.
Yeah.
I still love it, but I was thinking back to Tears for Fears, and I have a sudden recollection when I was watching the video on YouTube that I think Kurt, the lead singer, was my first crush when I was about 7 or 8. Which I'd completely forgotten. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, I'd forgotten.
I have
Little
met him,
flashback.
Lucy.
Have you?
Yeah.
Really met.
Was it outside Psalm Studio?
No, he was signed to Virgin on his own after Tears for Fears split.
Yeah.
So he used to come into our office a bit. He was a nice bloke, actually.
Oh.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, this was one of my favourite songs when I was young. So
Was it?
yeah, I absolutely loved it. So for me, it just can't compare. Even though I love Robbie, and it is really a beautiful version. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's
That's
really
what I was
nice.
going to say. I like. I mean, you can never beat the original, can you?
No.
And
no,
this
no.
song's been used
I think
so
sometimes
much.
can, but
Not often.
the
though.
original's definitely the best. But it's nice to hear it with a big orchestra.
Yeah,
that's
it
what I
is.
was
It
gonna
is
say.
really nice.
It's
yeah.
a really nice version. Rob's
Yeah.
voice sounds
Really
fab.
clear
It
on it.
suits
No, but that's
him.
what I was going to say. It's nice to hear Rob with an orchestra.
Yes.
You see, and that takes me back to I Like Him Swing.
Yes.
And I would see
Yeah.
the likes of Frank Sinatra with that big
Yeah.
full orchestra
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
him. So, I like it. I think
It's a big sound, isn't it?
And not everyone has got a voice that can sing
No.
over a big orchestra.
No.
Not everyone can do
Yeah.
that. He does
No.
it well.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
I just looked up to see when it was originally released, and it was released on 22nd of March 1985.
I was 19.
It was Live Aid year, wasn't
Wow.
it?
Yeah, it was...
Was that 86?
Band
Band Aid
I
year.
don't know.
84 was the Band Aid single, 85 was the
85 was the concert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So I remember it being
I think
part
Tears for
of
Fears
the...
were...
Yeah.
I think they did the gig, didn't they?
And Everybody Wants to Rule the World was on some of the footage.
And then they
Oh, yeah, it
did
was.
the
Run the
Sports Aid,
World.
and Everybody Wants to Run the World when Sports Aid came
Yes,
in.
that's right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they did.
See, it's good when you have an oldie on like me and Kelly,
Well,
because
see-
we remember all this.
I actually... So there was a Run the World.
Yeah, there was.
So I clearly can't run very far. But I did do... I think I must have been about... I would have been 15, 16,
Well,
that sort of age.
song, the original song was when I was 19.
Yeah,
Run the World.
and,
probably 3
I
or 4 years later.
I did the Run the World around London. It was only like 6 miles or something. So I do remember
Right.
it, quite well.
Mm.
But I really like this version.
Yeah.
But I think you have to look at it completely separately to the original.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. You can't compare them.
No, because it's so different.
Right. Yeah.
And I really like this version, but it just is very different to the original.
Yeah. It's similar but different, because there's been that slow sort of version as well, hasn't there? Oh no, that was Mad World. I'm getting mixed up.
And it's quite a complex arrangement, isn't it, behind the vocals?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a huge amount going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's very energizing, I think, because of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's something quite...
So really uplifting.
Really
it makes it
up.
really uplifting, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a lovely version. I'm with you. You can't really compare it to the old one.
No.
There are elements of this that feel a tiny bit cheesy, like when the electric guitar is going... It's just a little bit too much, but I guess that's a Trevor Horn style. It's not like, I'm not saying it's bad musically. It's just a little extra twiddly-dee on it. Yeah. You know, and then there's an instrumental just before the end, which is kind of a bit, I don't know. I feel bad for criticising it. It's not really a criticism, but it's just that little bit cheesier than the original. And I know I'm not allowed to compare it, so I won't. But.
Yeah, don't ruin it for Lucy.
What I also remember is around the time that this album came out, Trevor's album, I suddenly got a follow on Instagram from Trevor Horn.
Yeah.
I was like,
really?
That's weird.
I take back all I said, Trevor, sorry.
I was like, why is he suddenly following me? And I think that it was just part of their marketing strategy to just follow Robbie fans or something. And they must have picked me up from some...
Or follow Robbie podcasts, since we're the only one.
I didn't have the podcast then. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Well, that's quite nice. Just forgot all about it. And then when we started doing the podcast, I thought, oh, well, Trevor Horn follows me. At least I can message him. No, doesn't follow me anymore. No, he doesn't follow anyone anymore. They followed all those people and then obviously unfollowed them again.
So it was
literally a marketing ploy to promote the album or something. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
God. I didn't know they did things like that.
No,
It's interesting,
you have to be careful
isn't it?
doing things like that as well, because Instagram gets funny when you start following too many people. But yeah, that did happen. I didn't imagine it, but he doesn't follow me anymore. Random.
That is random, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm positive it wasn't him following me. It would just been some,
team.
bod in his team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so should we go on to the next song?
Yep.
This is Emma Bunton, Two Become One. Emma Bunton of the Spice Girls released an album of mainly covers with a couple of new songs called My Happy Place on the 12th of April 2019. It charted at number 11 in the UK. One of the covers was of the Spice Girls' own song Two Become One, which had been written by the Spice Girls, Matt Rowe and Richard Stannard, and was UK Christmas number 1 in 1996. According to Mel B's autobiography, and a quote from the other writer Richard, apparently Matt Rowe and Jerry Halliwell had a thing going on and started this song together. Richard said, "They were very close, they clicked. And I think the lyrics in Two Become One came from that, especially the first verse, which they wrote together."
During promo for her album, Emma spoke to The Sun's Dan Wootton, where she said that she had a simple request before allowing Robbie to duet on her album. Stop saying you've slept with the Spice Girls. She revealed an email exchange with Rob as they'd made plans to record Two Become One. It came after Rob had, according to Emma, made the very naughty claim that "I'm very fortunate I'm one of the only people in the world that can say they've been in Take That and 4 out of 5 of the Spice Girls."
I loved it.
Following the risque joke that he told on stage in an episode of Dan Wootton's podcast, Rob emailed Emma apologetically, writing, "Sometimes I think I'm being funny." She responded on behalf of her bandmates, replying, "You are funny and we adore you, but stop saying it now. We forgive you if you don't ever say it again." He thought about that one, didn't he? When he said, I'm one of the only people in the world that can say that they've been in Take That and 4 out of the 5 Spice Girls.
But actually, when I was rereading Reveal and Feel, it was when he was on stage with Max Beasley, who was going out with Mel B, that he first came up with that joke, and it was including him and Max in it, and he made the joke, and he said it, between me and Max, we can say that we've slept with 4 out of 5 of the Spice Girls, or something like that.
Right.
And I think it developed from there.
Well, he obviously
just
got
said
a
it on
laugh,
stage
and
one
so
night.
then expanded on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
Regarding the duet, she said, he was brilliant and said yes straight away. Can't wait. He kept emailing saying, is there anything else you need me to do? Very professional as always.
He was well excited. Well excited to be doing it. Bless him.
So me and Matt were fortunate enough to go to the Heart gig in 2016 when Rob was promoting the Heavy Entertainment Show album.
Yes.
And because it was Heart Radio and Emma Bunton was the breakfast host at that stage,
Yeah.
she got on stage with Rob and they sung this together, and we were front row. They sung it right in front of us. It was amazing.
Yeah, they were buzzing. Absolutely. They both were just excited to be on stage with each other, weren't they? They were just
They
in
kept
awe
giggling.
of each other.
Didn't they? Do you remember? They kept giggling.
Was Emma one of the 4 then?
That's what. Well, that is the way they were giggling. It did make me feel like possibly
They must have done.
That's only allegedly. I'm not getting us into trouble.
No Spice Girls were harmed in this recording.
I found that gig it was really good, by the way. Their performance was just amazing, wasn't it? It was just so, because they were so in the moment. And I just found the gig interesting itself because sort of afterwards we sort of wandered around, didn't we? And then I think Ido and the family were there and various celebrities, and we were walking along, and then Jamie Theakston was walking along and just stopped in front of us and said to Lucy, do I know you? And I thought, yeah, I bet you use that line a lot. She's like, no, I don't think so.
I just said no.
It was just weird because he just stopped. Do I know you?
Yeah, totally weird. To be fair, he did actually interview me once for the Ozone.
That's
for
probably why.
Oasis at Nebworth, but that was 20 years before, so I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember me.
He needs to get a better chat-up line than that. Come on, Jamie.
He's been thinking about it for those 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
He's been hankering after you.
But it was a lovely gig.
Yeah. So what do you think of the song, girls?
Was that at Under the Bridge as well, that gig?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So,
and you went to one of the nights there, didn't you?
You saw them together as well.
Yeah, we went when he was promoting the Swing
Store, yeah.
Yeah, and they sang, didn't they, together there? They've definitely got a chemistry. There's definitely something going on there.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. How was Ida looking at Emma Bunton?
I don't know if Ida was there. It was Ida's sisters that were there.
Oh, was she not there?
I don't think she was. It was her sisters. Remember,
Gwen was definitely there.
Oh, yeah, Gwen was there. Yeah, you're right.
Gwen was there. And I think
maybe Ida
Pete was there. They were all sat. Sat on a table together.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Because it's quite a small club in there.
Yeah,
so.
It's very small, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's only 250 people venue.
Yeah,
it's the smallest gig we're going to ever get to go to, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. But how lucky to go to say you've been to a gig, a Robbie Williams gig with 250. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, really.
You know? But, the song.
Yeah, nice version.
I'm not going to lie, it's not my cup of tea.
Okay.
No.
You didn't like the Spice Girls originally?
I like the Spice Girls. I like the song. For me, it's a bit twee. And it's not the best for me that Rob's voice has sounded either.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
As in, not his fault. just not the song for him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The key's
Yeah.
not right
Yeah.
to sing.
Well, interestingly, when they sang it together on stage, they did the opposite vocals to what they did on the actual recording.
That's interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I watched the video on YouTube. It's like 1 million views of it.
Maybe that's why they were laughing a little bit, because
Because they didn't feel
they
comfortable.
switched it. Well, they
Well,
probably
no, 'cause
were
they did it.
comfortable.
That was
but...
the first time they did it at Heart.
Oh, you said they were in the actual recording. They switched it.
It was after.
Which was after. So with the actual recording, Emma opens the song,
Yeah.
but at the Heart gig, Robbie opened it, and so it carried on that they kept doing it opposite bits. So yeah, I don't know why they changed that around.
I guess it was never really written for a male vocal.
No.
No.
He is singing
No,
rather
no.
high in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think there's other songs that do his voice better justice.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's a classic Spice Girls song, isn't it?
I think it was a bit of a
Indeed.
showpiece. Yes.
Yeah.
Gets people talking. Gets some
Yeah.
publicity.
For her album.
Yeah.
Well, I only bought that one song off the album. I didn't buy the whole album. So it didn't really help her, did it?
No. But at least you know
It's
Jamie Theakston knows you.
Oh,
Hello, Jamie, if you're listening.
doubt it.
Of course, he listens to this.
Right, so let's talk about the Let Me Entertain You tour now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll just do some facts about it, and then we're going to hear your amazing story.
Now,
So Robbie played to 250,000 people on the Let Me Entertain You tour, which opened on the 25th of March 2015 in Madrid. The tour visited new places like Israel, where he played to 50,000 fans in Tel Aviv, or areas where he had not toured in a long time. Notable for his bleached hair and devil horns headpiece, Robbie wore a kilt and showed off his tiger pants.
the tour was announced with a video of Rob in his HES makeup and on that set, singing different lyrics to Let Me Entertain You, such as Hell Has Gone and Heaven's Here, I'm coming out on tour next year, boys and girls lend me your ear, now scream. Some of the towns and far off places I've never played before or not for ages. Do you know the words to my famous phrases? To separate your right from wrongs, you'll hear all of my biggest songs. It's going to sell out, so don't be long, mon cher. Clearly the budget was provided for a video to promote the tour, and they shot HES too.
That's what I reckon. He played 28 dates in Europe, 3 each in Spain, France, Russia and Austria, 2 in Italy, and 1 each in Lithuania, Latvia, Belarus, Poland, Slovakia, Netherlands, Serbia, Greece, Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, Monaco, Romania, Switzerland, Bulgaria and Hungary. 11 of the dates were at European festivals like Werchter and Pink Pop.
The Australasian leg began on the 9th of October in Perth, and he played 10 dates in Australia and then 2 in New Zealand. 6 September Asian shows were cancelled in China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Thailand and Singapore due to issues outside of the artist's control, with no further detail given.
Yeah, so who knows? Live CDs of the Paris shows were made available on Robbie's website. You could choose one of the 3 nights or a best-of album from the 3 shows, or the Paris Collector's Bundle, which included all 4 CDs.
The set list varied slightly throughout the tour, but mainly included Let Me Entertain You, Rock DJ, We Will Rock You, I Love Rock and Roll, Tripping, Bodies, Eternity, The Road to Mandalay, Minnie the Moocher, Swing Supreme, R. Kelly's Ignition, Lulu's Shout, Motherfucker, Better Man with Papa Pete, Radio, No Regrets, Come Undone, Candy, Feel, Millennium, Kids, Bohemian Rhapsody, Angels, plus Heavy Entertainment Show, One Night in Paris.
Baskery supported in Europe and joined Rob on stage for Road to Mandalay each night. Lawson supported in Australasia and joined him for Back for Good. The band was the same as the Swings Both Ways tour.
An Australian review of the tour on news.com.au reads, "It's pretty simple. Robbie Williams is the most entertaining male pop star of his generation. His new Let Me Entertain You tour is pure, unadulterated Robbie. Williams and his excellent band served up wall-to-wall hits, and not just his own. His charismatic mixture of American brat pack with British old-school theatre and pantomime helps him effortlessly charm the arena in an instant.
About singing HES in Paris just one night, Rob said, "I did the HES for the nutters and the friendlies at the front. I've got to say they were absolutely amazing, and during HES in particular, the few 100 at the front entertained the people at the back and shamed them into knowing the words." The tour saw Rob invite a fan on stage to join him in his upright bed during Candy in Europe, Hot Fudge in Australia, as Candy wasn't a hit in Australia.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So, girls, we want to hear your crazy story about the Let Me Entertain You tour. Who's going to start?
You start, Val. You start.
Oh, I don't know. Where do we start?
I think it was you guys' idea, wasn't it, in the first place?
It started off as let's go and see Robbie in Europe because we've got nothing else to do this summer.
Well, and he wasn't paying England.
No. So
yeah,
you had to go somewhere to see him.
So that started off as a little plan, and we thought, we'll go and do a bit of a road trip, take in a couple of gigs, and sort of go on a train across Europe, stopping off at a few places. We'll have a nice little few days away.
The train was your idea. I didn't want to do the train.
But anyway.
It's because they'd done so much travelling before.
It was the cheapest option, Kelly.
Really
How did you want to
bad.
travel? Private jet or something?
Private jet,
I would personally
Robbie's private jet.
rather take the plane that costs 60 quid than take the train that costs
It's
400.
it's all about the adventure. It's all about the adventure. So we started off and we went to we started off in St Pancras, didn't we?
In King's Cross.
In the champagne
bar. Start as you mean to
Nice
go
way
on.
to start, yeah.
What was Ivan all about?
I don't know. I don't
There
remember.
was at the time there was something about Ivan, but we can't remember. It was something to do with Robbie. But we actually met a man on the
train
Eurostar that was called Ivan. And it was hysterical to us at the time, but we can't really remember.
And now
what
we
that was
can't remember
about.
why Ivan was a thing.
But anyway, so we basically,
But it was.
yeah. So we basically got to Paris. Then we went. I don't know. I think we went to Belgium.
So we had to. The train basically. We had to go. Where did we catch it from?
We started off in St Pancras, went to Paris,
and we had to go.
Then we had to go to
the Euro
Belgium.
sleeper for somewhere.
Yeah,
didn't
and then we went on a Thalys sleeper train.
So we went on when we finally got to our cabin for the Euro sleeper, because we had all our camping gear with us. we barely fit in the room.
And then I feel like we were in Austria and we got a taxi.
Yeah,
into
we did. So
Bratislava.
the Euro sleeper stopped in Vienna. Their last stop was Vienna, and we were going to our first gig was Bratislava,
which is in Slovakia.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's only like half an hour away in a car from Vienna.
Yeah.
So we got a taxi from Vienna into Bratislava.
And there was a real marked contrast because
really marked
Slovakia.
contrast.
I don't think Rob had actually ever played in Slovakia before.
Right.
So obviously Vienna, Austria, nice European modern cities. And then we got to Slovakia and it really still had quite a sort of communist feel to it because obviously they'd been under communist rule. And so Robbie was one of the first sort of, so the people were really excited about him going.
Very excited, weren't they?
So we arrive at our hotel, which was more like a sort of bit like a prison cell, really. It's like a concrete block. Anyway, we got the bags all in and we said, right, we're round the corner, let's go and have a look at the stadium. Right, so when we got there, there's no one there at all. Right, so we did a walk around the whole stadium because we were trying to work out where the entrance was, like you do. So to cut long story short, we got there, the queue started. So these two girls, 6 and 7, decided they were going to put their tents up. And they were like taking all the rooms. So we were like, well, we better put our tents up. So Kelly got a tent out. and the police come along, right?
No, that was my chair.
Was it your chair? No, it was your tent.
No, do you not remember? So the chairs, it was kind of like
The girls have
outside
got
the stadium was a kind of square, and if
part of
you
it was
put
undercover.
if you put a chair down in a like a public area,
It's like you're claiming it for
you're
yourself.
claiming the land.
Right.
The police, I think they were all right until these girls put the tent up. But anyway, the police came
Yeah.
and they went, pass butts. Right. So I was like, oh, I haven't got mine.
Mine was in my hands.
So Kelly goes, here you are. And
No, I didn't. It was in my hands.
So they took Kelly's name. She was arrested almost.
Oh
He's
my
going,
God.
passport. I'm like, I have no passport.
Because my chair was out.
No passport. So Kelly
like, you
Kelly
can't
got
put your
arrested
chair
in
out.
Bratislava.
You can't put your chair out.
But anyway, so we did a bit of
Oh my
queuing,
goodness.
and the crux of the matter was we weren't allowed the chairs, we weren't allowed the tents.
Or
So
chairs.
we ended up sleeping on concrete in sleeping bags. It was really cold.
freezing.
Oh my
There
God.
was like all night long, the cars were going by and they're cheering and bibbing. They're all going, Robbie Williams. But it wasn't, when we actually got in the gig,
It was
people,
fine.
you what?
It was fine.
It
once
was,
we got
yeah, it was
in.
fine. But I went out to do it and there were people in evening dresses,
There were.
dinner jackets. It was like
Oh my
a
God.
massive night for them.
It was
'Cause
such
they'd never
a big
had.
thing because they'd never had anyone that big there.
And like,
Wow.
I think that is one of my favourite ever Rob gigs. And he
It was
cried,
really
he
good.
cried,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
did. Yeah,
And
it
it
was
was
wicked.
like just amazing. So we had sort of a
That's
night
good.
in the queue. That was in the days when you had to only queue one night. Bloody hell. You could rock up in the morning and still get barrier in those days.
Yeah.
Anyway, after our amazing concert, we went, I think we had a couple of drinks, didn't we?
Yeah,
and
we
then,
did. We went for dinner, didn't we? Do you not remember?
with the blanket and that schnitzel or whatever it was. But the next day, we had a day sightseeing because we were then going on the next leg of our European road trip.
So we had a day's sightseeing
So
in
in
Bratislava
Bratislava.
Old Town.
Right.
Yeah.
which culminated in us ending up in a Cuban bar.
So I had a friend who had been on several work trips to Bratislava, and I said to him, "Oh, is there anywhere you can recommend?" We usually like to go for cocktails, and so he said, "Oh, there's this really good Cuban bar there." So we ended up in a Cuban bar in Bratislava.
Well, wherever you are, whenever you're there, you've got to drink a mojito, haven't
Mojitos.
you?
They're
And
our
they were
thing.
very nice, but
Yeah.
I think they were very strong. Anyway, a few mojitos down the line, I'm looking at my phone and I'm
Oh,
like
we got
going,
so drunk.
oh, Greg Rathbone's got a ticket for sale in Abu Dhabi.
Where's that?
And I'm
Where's
like,
that?
United Arab Emirates, we should go there. And like, the other two are going, nah, I don't know. And I'm like, no, we should go. So anyway, because we were a little bit tiddly, it sort of was, well, we could go.
Then it was like, yeah, we're going to go to Abu Dhabi.
So I'm going, don't sell your ticket, Greg. I'm going to have it. And I'm like going, I'm going to Abu Dhabi. So that's how it started. Anyway, Kelly was a bit like, no.
I'm not going to Abu Dhabi.
But she's like, no, I don't know about that.
The other thing, of course, that you've forgotten about is that Cuban bar.
We wrote on
They
the
let
walls
you
in
write
there.
on the walls.
It's a bit like
Oh,
the
my
cabin.
Goodness.
So we wrote loads on the walls, all Robbie stuff, all on the walls in there. I wonder if it's still there.
Yeah, I don't know. But so after that, then we went to Vienna and we had a day sightseeing in
We
Vienna.
did.
And then from there we went to Linz, which is where Robbie... You said 3 Austrian gigs, didn't you, on your list?
Was it 3 or 2?
Yeah, he did 3 in Austria. Yeah.
Well, I think Linz was 2, so I
Linz
don't
was
know if
2.
he did
You must
anywhere
have done
else.
somewhere else.
But we arrived at Linz the day a concert was on, but we were going to the second
next
concert.
day.
Yeah.
So there was all people like the usual suspects, and
All
they'd
queuing.
put all their tents out, and they were calling it Candy Corner or Candy
Candy
Row.
Lane. Or
Candy
something
Lane,
like
it was
that.
something like that, and we all put our tents and we were all camping. Anyway, a few people, the usual sort of
Yeah.
people, we were all going to the second gig. But what was great was they opened the stadium doors. They knew we were there, and they opened the doors because it was
really
been cold
warm.
in Bratislava. It was a really hot night, and basically you could see straight in. We heard all the gig. We could see the gig.
So we were sat on a grassy
on an embankment, and we could look straight in.
And they opened the doors up, and we had our camping chairs out on this grassy bank,
having a glass of wine,
and watching the gig through the open doors.
Which was brilliant.
Nice.
Then
It was awesome.
So then, as that was coming to the end, we went and started the queue, like you do, because we were already in.
We already had the
We'd
queue
already
going.
started the queue. So all these girls ran out excitedly going, "Oh, the queue!" And we're like, "No, you're number 50. You're like, we're all in here all day." But then we all like had our tents, and I remember doing a roll call because people were going back to the hostel
were putting their
and things.
So the people who put their tents up the day before and had been in the gig came out, left their tents there, and went back to the hotel.
Yeah.
And so at 1 o'clock in the morning, half the tents there were empty.
So we sort of got put because we were all staying in it was like a youth hostel place. So we sort of put the word out. If your friends aren't here, go and tell them
down.
If they're not here. And I think I said if they're not here by 1:30, I'm doing a roll call. Anyway, everybody came back and slept in their tents that night. And then the next day,
it was really
it was
hot.
so hot, and that was when we had to text in to
yes,
we had to text in.
Spencer,
so
do you remember?
Robbie had the dog Spencer, and they were saying Spencer was
had his own Instagram
more
account,
popular than Guy Chambers. Yeah. So we had to text in "I love Spencer" or something, and then randomly they selected like
25 people,
to
go and have a meet and greet with Spencer.
So we ended up going in the stadium. And when poor little, well, he's worked a little, but when Spencer passed away and they did a montage sort of video, we're in the video with him
I've
in
watched
Linz.
that. Yeah,
so it's quite
really
sweet.
cute.
It's quite poignant that because
and he
of that.
Was so
it was
lovely,
such a lovely
lovely
dog.
dog.
So that happened. We got interviewed by the press, didn't we?
Yeah.
We got interviewed in Bratislava and in Linz.
Yeah.
And then. So then we had Then we were queuing and we wanted food, but we couldn't speak Austrian. So we got a Ridian. There was a guy do you remember the X Factor and the blonde guy Ridian, the opera singer? There was a guy that looked like him, so we just everyone was calling him Ridian. He didn't even know who Ridian was. But that's what we named him. Anyway, he came round, took everyone's order because he spoke perfect English, and then he phoned it all through for us. And we had all our Chinese and everything delivered to the queue. So that was good. And then, we got in our gig. And I think we were about 6, 7 for that queue. Yeah. But anyway, got in, had a really good gig.
Both of those gigs were amazing. The atmosphere in Bratislava was...
We had this
not like anything we'd experienced before, and Austria was a bit the same.
Yeah,
it was
definitely
electric.
But going back, so we'd left Bratislava with the idea that the seed had been sowed about going to Abu Dhabi. By the time we were in Vienna, I'd convinced you guys to come, hadn't I? Yeah. And that's when we then started looking for airline tickets and everything.
Yeah.
So we're then sitting in this queue, waiting to go into the gig on the second day. And we're like, shit, I don't know, I won't say that word.
Better not say that.
No, you can swear. You can swear.
We've got all our camping gear. Like, we've got chairs, sleeping bags,
and we've now got to get on a plane.
And we get now, it was all right on the rail, weren't it? And we're now flying via Sofia or somewhere. We flew via Sofia in Bulgaria, and we came back via Bahrain.
That's right, yeah.
Right. We got the cheapest flights we could get. But anyway, so we're like, what are we going to do with this camping stuff? So we sort of I'm taking a wander through Robbie's trucks and everything. And we'd
had been chatting to a couple of the trucking guys, as we usually do.
Anyway, we got chatting and they said, you need to go and speak to Adrian, this guy. And basically, he agreed to take all our camping gear back to the UK for us.
On the trucks.
So his manager came out and said he's not really supposed to do it, but he was like having a bit of a laugh, really, it was fine. And so all our tents and chairs
our camping gear
went back to England
on the stage trucks.
because Linz, I think, was one. I think Linz was the last
one
leg,
in Europe.
and then he went to Abu Dhabi,
Right.
Yeah.
and then on to Israel, and then he had a Asian stroke
Yeah.
Australian sort of
Yes.
trucking
That's right.
set and whatever. So our stuff got home. We didn't think it was going to make it, but it turned up. So
It
that
did.
was good. And then
While
before,
we were in the gig, when we were in the gig, so we'd done the 2 gigs we'd done, we were front row.
Yeah.
And when we were in the gig, we decided we were going to write on some paper like we did where we got his attention the time before. And we got the bits of paper and we put, see you in Abu Dhabi. And nobody around us knew we were going because we kept it quiet.
Oh, right.
so
right at the end, we held it up. And he looked at us and he went, really?
really, like,
Yeah.
so we then, so our luggage went, and we went to Sofia, and I remember.
No, we didn't.
Oh no, we had a little detour to Salzburg, and we went on the Sound of Music tour.
Oh.
And if you look every year on the anniversary, you'll see me, because we were on a karaoke bus with many Australians who didn't have a very good voice, but you will see me singing "Do a Dear" to my heart's content
In the gardens.
And then
Yeah,
I
I've
did.
seen that.
I Have Confidence in Me, and every song I was jumping up and down. I obviously have watched the film many times, but I did seem to be like the only one who knew the words to the songs. But hey, I don't know the words to Robbie's songs, but somehow I know the Sound of Music.
What was really cool was the lady who was the guide on the tour bus. When it was time for you to get back on the bus, instead of calling or putting an umbrella up or whatever, she yodeled.
So we went. That was really good though, because we went to all the iconic places that you see in the film, The Sound of Music. It was really good.
And then we went back to our hostel,
and we had beautiful food there, and we had a
went
right
to the
laugh
Mozart
with the
Museum and all
waiters.
stuff
Yeah,
like that.
it's an interesting place. If you've got
it really is
a weekend,
lovely
if you've got a
place.
weekend to kill, go to Salzburg. Better still if you can tie it in with an Austrian Robbie gig.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then we ended up getting somehow we got out. I don't even know how we got to the airport. I think we went on a train. And we got to the airport, got on our plane, and then we got to Sofia, and we had about 3 hours to kill. We were drinking beer at 6 o'clock in the morning.
We actually had to buy clothes at the train station before we got on the plane because we didn't have appropriate clothes for the weather where we were going.
Yeah.
And also, not just the weather, but also because of the culture.
Because of the culture as
being
well.
a Muslim
Cover up a bit.
country,
Yeah.
you have to sort of, cover up, although some tourists don't
bother.
But we went to, when we were there, we went to the Grand Mosque and everything, so we did have to cover up. But we actually hired what they call burqas, didn't we, there? But
they make you wear them.
Yeah, so we finally got to Abu Dhabi,
night, didn't we?
and I'm
really
going to give a little shout out to Claire Tever here, who was in England, and everyone was like, "What are you doing? Where are you now? What's this?" Because obviously nobody knew what was happening, and she at the time worked for a hotel chain and managed to book us into one of the most amazing hotels that was on Yas Island, right next to the arena. So that was pretty good, and got us a breakfast included. We didn't pay a lot for it, did we?
It's really good.
So we met Reg, didn't we? We had a shower because I don't think
about 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we hadn't showered. It felt like days. I think we had showered, but it was just like travelling and all the rest of it. So we met Greg, and I remember eating a pizza and washing my hair that was itchy. Yeah. It was just so nice to sort of actually be in because we'd been in. Don't forget, we'd been in the communist cell block H, and then we'd been in the youth hostel with all the children, which actually reminds me, I've got to go back to Austria. I was sitting in the Austrian queue, and someone said, "Oh, what's the hostel?" I think it was one of the Italian girls. "What's the youth hostel like?" And I went, "Oh my God, Amy's going on a school trip tomorrow." So I had to ring my friend in England and say, would she come round my house at 6 in the morning and pick Amy up, because she had to be at the school for 6 a.m. in the morning, and Steve used to leave for work before that. So my friend took Amy, and then I sent my husband a text saying, problem with the road trip, the train home. We're flying home now via Abu Dhabi. See you Wednesday, bye, and put the phone down. Turned my phone off so he couldn't get hold of me. And like people were saying, why is your wife, she's in Abu Dhabi now? And he was like, yeah, whatever. She just gets on with it. So, so anyway, so then we then decided, didn't we, the morning to go and check out the queue. Well, we didn't think it's so hot in Abu Dhabi. Hot. We didn't think we wanted a queue. No. But when we went up to the arena, there was a queue, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I don't know who started
15 people.
So anyway, we sort of thought, all right, we'll get in the queue. We had and I remember Greg had one of them.
Was it like 40 degrees?
The crisp tent thing came back in. It was like a sun
wasn't 40 degrees, but it must have been 30,
it was getting hot.
35.
And the security were worried. There was no shade.
They delivered a whole pallet of water. They brought a pallet of water out for us. Anyway, again, it was obvious that there weren't going to be hundreds and hundreds of people queuing. No.
So, like you do, get chatting to everyone, and we sort of said, do you know what? Our hotel's next door. It's got a really nice bar. Why don't this half of the queue go over there for a couple of hours, and then
we'll take over.
You come back, and we'll go over there for a couple of hours. So that's what we did, and it made it a much nicer queue.
Much nicer queue.
I'm going to let you take over now for the rest of the queue story and the security bit.
Oh, yeah. So we queued, that was fine, and it was a bit of a disaster, to be honest, getting in. There was some expats who really weren't very happy with us for queuing. Who said that we'd had lots of chances to see him, and this was the only chance that they would get.
Ooh.
Oh, well, that's not true. They can fly back to England.
Well, they could have flown to England, couldn't they?
There were some nice people,
just like we did.
Like that lady.
But there were some other expats who were lovely, really nice. But we got into the arena, and unfortunately, it was really badly mishandled going in,
and everyone
just pushed through and ran, and so we just had to run. It was horrible. And then once we got inside,
we did manage to get a good spot.
We did, but not as good as we would have liked.
But we're good. It was good enough.
It was, and at that time, that was the most expensive ticket we'd ever bought, because you had to buy early entry, and it was 180 quid. So, which was a lot of money then, but doesn't look so much now, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And but then we got inside the arena, and unfortunately, some ladies literally walked over the top of everybody and came and stood behind us. So all the people are all sitting down behind us, a lot of people, and they literally walked over the top of them and stood behind us, like breathing down our necks.
Oh my God.
And the support act started, and we could hear these two women behind us saying, don't worry about it, when the gig starts, we'll push them against the barrier, we'll get them out.
Oh God.
And we were trying to call the security guard, and the stage was really far away. So we're trying to call the security guard to say,
look, a big sort of gap, didn't there, between the barrier and the stage.
You know, we're worried about these women. And he tried to, like, excuse me, and they literally turned their backs on him, to ignore him. And we were so lucky because they wouldn't listen to him at all. Within about half an hour of that incident, Carrie, Robbie's tour manager, security manager for the crowd, came over to us and said, girls, I'd like you to meet this man. He's the head of this stadium, Das Arena, and they haven't really had any big gigs here before. This is like the start of them opening, and, you know, what I'd like you to do is have a word with him and tell him how they could have done it better for getting in, so that the people who've been waiting can get to the front and all of that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so we stood and had a bloke, and he was asking us questions.
Probably about a good half hour.
A good 20 minutes, half an hour, he was talking to us and asking us questions. And we turned round and the women had gone.
Because they realised by then.
Because they realised that we knew people and that they weren't going to get away with it. And so actually Carrie saved our bacon at that gig. And he didn't even know.
But he did say to us, didn't he? He did know, because he did say to us, be careful, because it's not like...
It's not like everywhere else, but he did say... What was funny, he said, it won't be like the gigs you're used to. They all stand apart and they're quite respectful. And it was one of the worst gigs we've ever done.
But he did say that, like, the security, because their security can be quite heavy-handed. So he just sort of said, like,
be careful.
And that sort of thing. So, but we did okay. We survived it.
We did survive it. And we did have... so much fun.
Yeah, it was a trip and a half. Really.
It really was. And somehow, after the gig, we managed to find a bar.
An Irish bar.
In Abu Dhabi.
It's called McGilligan's.
Or something like that.
It's quite famous. And then, again, I somehow got on the mojitos.
Somehow.
But we met people and they come back to the bar with us and everything. We met quite a good crowd.
And quite a few expats, and they were really nice, weren't they? So it was a bit different.
Yeah.
And then we went to bed. We were going home the next day.
No, we did. No, didn't we go sightseeing with that guy?
On the Sunday during the day. Yeah.
The guy took us around to the mosque and...
Yeah, we went to the mosque and the shopping mall and the souk and all sorts, didn't we?
We managed to see quite a bit of it in the day, so...
Yeah.
Even though it was a bit unexpected.
Yeah.
So that was our mad trip. And then, like, I remember getting home and I was like...
We arrived Monday morning and we were supposed to get back Saturday night.
No, it was a Wednesday. We came back on the Wednesday.
Did we?
We should have got home on the Monday. We came back on the Wednesday. But I remember one of the another school mum. She came and met me at the train station. I think she just wanted to get in because I took her photograph of her meeting. Well, she videoed me coming off the train, and I think she just wanted to get in on the act because it was such
everyone had been following
an epic tour, really,
online, hadn't they?
Yeah.
I got in a taxi at Saffron Walden station, and the taxi driver was like, "Oh, you look like you've come, a long way." And I said, "Oh, yeah, like I've done this," and I was telling him about where I'd been, and I'd ended up in Abu Dhabi, and la 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 la. And 2 days later, I'm a beauty therapist. I've got my own salon where I live. And a couple of days later, one of my customers came in and she said, I got in a taxi and the taxi driver was talking about you. She said, and I knew it was you immediately because he said, I had this crazy woman in my taxi and she'd been all the way to Abu Dhabi to see Robbie Williams.
It is quite a story. I mean, the Vegas obviously is a good trip, but there aren't many people that have actually gone to Abu Dhabi to see Robbie Williams.
No.
Well, you mean after a trip somewhere else and not actually planning to go to Abu Dhabi and ending up there.
I know, it was quite funny.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It was a great trip and definitely don't regret it.
Yeah, it's not one
the snap decision was the best decision. Yeah.
Yeah. So on to Robbie. Did you actually enjoy the actual concert and Robbie?
Yeah, I think as I said,
there's some of the best concerts we've seen.
Bratislava was one of the best ones.
Was.
I really do. I think that Bratislava one, the atmosphere was electric.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
And he came back and he sat on the stage, I would say 10 minutes after Angels.
And
he was sort of like, he was welled up and he was just sitting there.
And the cheering just didn't stop. And it went on and on and on.
And then they were all out in the street afterwards, all like on the big main sort of...
It was really special, wasn't it?
Yeah, like just out there chanting and singing Robbie songs. And like I said, they were in evening dresses and everything, yeah. So we had quite a few adventures, really. But
yeah, you did.
So many things that went on that journey.
It was
Yeah, I would say, like, out of those 3 gigs, actually, the first one, the one in Bratislava
was the best one.
Was the most amazing. It was one of those gigs where, it makes all the hairs on your neck stand up because the atmosphere was something else.
It was electric.
Really
you could touch the atmosphere that night.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really
It was
special.
a very good set list as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was a Great show, great set list, yeah. And the whole thing at the beginning with having the name of where he was flash up on the screen. Do you remember the red?
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it hello? Is anybody there?
That's
I want to contact the living. Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Am I still your son?
That was brilliant. That part, it really was, wasn't it?
We went to see it in Krakow.
That's right.
I
remember.
Went once.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good though. We loved it.
Well, we went to Krakow and we stayed in a hotel across the park from the stadium.
Yeah.
And we camped when we didn't really need to, didn't we?
Oh.
There was hardly anybody in the queue at all. But it was a great gig. I remember it was a really high stage. But we were obviously at the front. So but it was a classic performance.
I have to say, most of the people queuing were probably British people. So it's good. And you meet people, and I sort of feel like I could be in a European country, and if you got into trouble, a Robbie fan would come and help you.
Yeah, you'd have some help.
Yeah, you could probably get someone through. That's very true.
Yeah,
definitely.
You know, you could go on Facebook or whatever and just go,
we need your help.
And someone would come and sort of translate or help you, wouldn't they, really?
Which is the lovely side of it, isn't it? It's really nice, that side of it.
Yeah.
What else do you remember about Krakow?
The Polish flag. Do you remember someone in Poland organised? They handed out sheets of red or white paper, and then during Angels, everyone in the inner pit held up red pieces, and then people much further around. They went like nearly the whole room, it seemed, held up white pieces of paper to sort of look like the Polish flag.
Yeah, it totally took his breath away, didn't it?
But at first, he didn't quite understand what was going on.
He was a bit scared, actually, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was like, oh,
he just saw these red
hell did
bits
they
and thought, why are they holding up red
to
cards?
Get the paper in the right place?
I don't know.
I guess there was a piece under everyone's seat or something.
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure how they did it, but he was totally taken
aback. It is amazing that the fans do that, and I think that for me that was a special tour because he went to sort of Paris and whatever, but he went to cities that he didn't usually go to. And I think for him, that's the thing about Bratislava, he like Slovakia. He went there, he'd been to places like Prague, but he went there and it's this little sort of country that people don't bother with. And he went there and it was like the whole city had come out for him. Mm. You know, like when a team wins, when the Euros or something, like when it's like the World Cup and everyone's out on the streets. It was like, that's the best I could describe it.
Yeah.
It's like when we got into the final of the Euros and everyone was out and, you know.
And all their local press were at every gig. So they wanted to interview you and take your pictures.
Particularly because we'd travelled. They were like, you know, we were like the Robbie super fans. We were in their papers.
And all sorts. It's crazy. Did you find that in Krakow as well?
Not really.
No,
I don't remember any local press being there.
Yeah, maybe there was, but I mean, there was an incredible buzz in the stadium.
Yeah,
there
was.
Arena.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
that did look like an awesome arena, actually.
Yeah, it was new. It had only just been built, I think.
Oh, right.
I think it was the first concert that they'd had.
I think it was the first live music concert they'd had.
It was built for some sort of sports thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, my other memory of that tour is the kilt, and then the shaved legs or the hairy legs.
Yes, and the cut legs.
He couldn't make up his mind, could he?
The
cut legs as well.
I cut all his legs, didn't he? Yeah. And that was the first time that the tiger pants came back out. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also, of course, Motherfucker, when he sung that was always.
Oh no, that was awesome because actually he put that in. But it was only really the hardcore fans that knew it at the start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite funny to see everybody else's reaction to it behind us.
It really was.
And up at the sides
we all
and
loved
stuff. They're like, what?
Yeah.
What's he saying?
You're a bad motherfucker. It was great, wasn't it?
The Bohemian Rhapsody, I thought he did that really well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did. And that suit that he came on at the end, toward the end, was so Elvis-like, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And then one more thing that I have to mention is
Go on.
I'm going to dig a big hole. I'm going to fill it with shit. Shit I don't even need.
That's so funny.
I'm going to... Right next to your fucking house.
Yes.
Was he singing it?
Yeah,
Was
he sang it.
sang that
Yeah,
line, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
At the start
I'm
of
gonna
Kids.
dig a big hole.
Shit, I don't even need.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
fill it with shit. Shit I don't even
Oh, it was at the
need.
beginning of Kids, yeah.
I'm
It
going to
was
dig...
so funny.
Then he said something like, I'm going to dig a big pool.
Yeah.
It's a swimming pool, isn't it, that he's building?
That was hilarious, wasn't it?
Yeah. I
It was.
just love
It
that.
was a basement for a swimming pool, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
only for the people that knew what it was about.
Yeah.
The rest,
Yeah.
half the rest
Probably
of the
most
people
of
were
the
like,
rest of
what
the
is
crowd
he
are like,
singing?
Yeah. They must have been, what is he going on about? Mustn't they?
Ah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
That was
Yeah.
very funny.
And my overriding memory is of walking out of that concert and Matt saying to me, "Oh, can we not just go again? Can we work out how to go
Yeah.
again?"
Can we not just go to Abu Dhabi? No.
And now you know how we ended up
in
where
Abu
we
Dhabi.
did.
Yeah,
We just couldn't know. We
Well, no, we
couldn't
couldn't.
close.
four.
See,
Four and-
Lucy, what you
yeah.
need to do is ditch the mat and come with us. And then you don't care what your husband says, you just do it anyway.
Poor Matt.
No, poor Steve.
Yeah, poor Steve. He's very understanding.
Well,
We have made
She
up
do
for it
what she
since though,
likes.
even though we only did one date on that tour. I think
Yeah,
we've
we've made up for it.
But
since, yeah.
Oh
He
yeah,
was
you've
in a-
definitely done that.
I have to, just going back, I do have to say, Steve did come to Milton Keynes with me and he did go to Nebworth
Did
with me.
he?
He did.
So Steve went to Nebworth.
well
and
done,
all-
Steve.
Good man.
There we are. I swapped him for this model.
So, just before we wrap up this episode, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. And also, Lucy and I would really appreciate it if you can leave us a star rating. You can do this on both Apple and Spotify podcasts. We would also love it if you could write us a short review, and you can do this on Apple. Don't forget, you can check out our episode notes for each episode and links to all tracks and videos at robbiewilliamsrewind.com. You can also email us at email@robbiewilliamsrewind.com. Please also follow and chat on our social channels. It's at Rewind Robbie on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. And you can also like and follow our Facebook page, Robbie Williams Rewind. And before we return to this episode, you might also consider sending us one of your own Robbie stories for the show. Just record a short audio clip on your phone and email it to us. Please check the website for more details. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So that's probably come to the end of the episode, haven't we? Probably just need to choose our favourite song from that we've discussed. If you can pick one.
Well,
Out of the
eclectic
six that
out
we
of the
discussed.
six.
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. It's that
Electrico Romantico. Definitely.
Definitely. Both
Yeah,
of us.
you're going to
yeah.
pick that. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And hopefully,
Matt?
with that's the way he's going to go a little bit in the future.
Well, it seems
maybe.
it. What's Matt's favourite out of that? I'm quite interested
Well,
to hear. Actually.
Well, I would have picked that one, but
Yeah,
I did have a second one.
What's your
Avicii's Avicii,
Yeah.
The Days.
I thought you might say that.
Yeah. So now that's probably Lucy's two gone.
Is
What
it,
are you gonna
Lucy?
pick?
Yeah, of course.
We've normally got a few more songs to pick from in the episode, but
Well, from what I'm left with, I'll probably go.
hastily going through the papers.
It's got to be
Yeah.
rule the world, run the world, rule the world, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has. Everybody wants to rule the world. Yeah, I'll go with that
Trevor
one.
Horn.
Trevor Horn.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
3 good selections. That's 50% of the songs we covered.
It's funny.
So thanks for listening. Tune in to the next episode when we will be joined by Karen from Wales to talk about the first half of the Heavy Entertainment Show album.
Excellent.
So thanks very much for coming on. We've definitely loved hearing your amazing story.
Yeah, thank you. What a story. What an epic story. Stories.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. No problem.
Our pleasure.
And thanks for putting up with the eclectic mix of songs as well.
Yeah, thanks for
That's
working with
good.
that.
Okay, good. Do you know what? Sometimes it's good to listen to something that you wouldn't necessarily listen to.
Yeah.
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 Good.
Well, we've helped listeners find some new songs there, I think, as well.
Yeah.
You
So,
definitely have.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and we'll
Thank
see you
both.
soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Robbie Williams Rewind.